Welcome everyone to the game between Arjun Erigaisi, the India number one, taking on a very talented youngster, Andy Woodward. Andy Woodward won the Tata Steel Challengers this year and has made his entry into the Tata Steel Masters. We have an amazing interview with him on our channel. A very humble, modest youngster and super talent. He's just 15 years old and there he is entering in. Arjun, of course, having an amazing tournament. He is the sole leader, half a point ahead of Magnus Carlsen and Yagiz Kaan. If he manages to win today, he becomes the champion without any tie breaks. But a draw means that he could potentially face the winner of Carlsen versus Yaz game. So Arjun has to play this maybe carefully. A draw would secure him a tiebreak, but let's see what Arjun's approach is. Always very interesting. Pawn to d4 played by Arjun, and Andy plays knight to f6. These battles are so exciting. It wasn't too long ago that Arjun was the youngest player in a tournament, and now it so happens that he's already facing someone who's 6 to 7 years younger than him. Pawn to e6 and knight to c3 now, allowing the Nimzo Indian with bishop b4, and Andy plays it. The Nimzo Indian is on the board. White goes pawn to g3, and the point is to put the bishop on g2, knight f3, castles. Arjun playing something interesting. Black castles here. And Arjun Erigaisi puts his bishop on g2. We have a knight coming out on c6. An interesting move because generally you want to play pawn to d5 and strike in the center. And now e4. Wow. That is an interesting move by Arjun, grabbing so much space in the center, and bishop takes knight. Is this all preparation by both these players? Seems like it. Arjun at 1 hour 32 minutes. Andy at 1 hour 30 minutes. B takes c3. And now pawn comes up to d6. Just little pawns here. And g4 played. Wow. So while black is trying to capture the center, white is going all out. And black has even castled. White hasn't even castled. The king is on e1. h4. Arjun is like, take this pawn, Andy. What kind of play is this? Crazy. Andy Woodward takes it. Still in his preparation, it seems. And now if you play g5, it's possible he goes h5. The idea is to play g5, g6, maybe even h6. Not so easy to face this. Arjun testing Andy in all ways he can. Knight to d7. And now one idea is to push h6. But Arjun goes queen d3, attacks the knight on c4, b5 played. A nice move. And knight to... Ooh, he goes a4. He's playing on the queen side. And you can't take. c4 is hanging. a6 doesn't work because of ab. So bishop a6 played. And now a takes b5. Bishop is now looking at the queen. Arjun goes for the full risk mode. He goes g5. And I guess he wants to swing the queen over and play g6 and attack e6. Unleash his rook. Arjun playing normal chess like chess 960. Pawn to c5. I love this move by Andy Woodward. He's playing in the center. He's telling Arjun that yes, you can be creative, but there are certain rules of chess, certain laws of chess which have to be followed. AB. And now take back with the bishop. He takes it. And this is a dangerous discovery here that could happen. But Arjun is not afraid because the bishop is hanging. So Andy Woodward defends the bishop, and now all sorts of threats are possible, like knight e5, threatening knight d3 check, knight b2 as well. So many possible moves. I think Arjun has to move the queen away. He goes queen to h3. I'm actually curious to see what is Arjun going to do here if Andy keeps making the best moves. But one thing that is clearly happening is Andy is taking a lot of time. Arjun has 43 minutes, Andy has 27. Knight a5, a beautiful move. He's attacking the e2 knight. He's also threatening knight b3 with a fork to the rook and the bishop. So the bishop comes up to e3, getting the bishop activated on a good square. And knight comes to b3, attacking the rook on a1. Can you snatch this pawn? He goes rook a3, because if you take here, the rook is doing nothing much, but it can get very nasty, like take, bishop e2, and already queen coming in. All of that is a big problem. So rook a3, bishop e2, king e2. White's pieces are coming out, but look at this king. It's so weak. Pawn takes pawn taken. Pawn takes pawn. And now queen to c7. So this attack never began on the king side. Black's king is as safe as you can get, and white's king is now running. His white king doesn't have a safe home. f5 played. The rook opens up. Beautiful move by Andy Woodward. He's very close to actually beating Arjun here. Rook takes f6. Check. And king g4. Wow. Oh man, this king of Arjun. On just 23rd move, e5 played and d5. But now the knight can jump in even. He goes knight d4. This knight can come to c5. This rook to f8, queen d7. I mean, if this king survives, that would be a miracle here. Knight to c5, good move. King h2. Arjun manages to get the king to safety. But another thing dawns on us here is that Arjun is actually a pawn down. Knight c2, wants to take here, but bishop c5, good move. Very good move. D takes c5, because if you played queen takes c5, rook c3 ends the game. So d c5, rook c3. Now the knight jumps back. No, he takes on f2. Wow. I mean, he could have gone back knight d4, but rook f2, defending the knight. But now white gets some counterplay. Queen e6 check. No, he first goes rook c1, attacking the knight. The knight moves, c5, pawn falls. Yes, the knight goes to d4. Rook takes c5, attacking the queen. Queen comes up to d6. And now Arjun gives a check. We have rook takes c8. Rook to c8. And I guess you bring your rook back to f8. That's what Andy does. And he's essentially saying to Arjun that I'm a pawn up. Arjun goes queen c3, trying to get his queen into the game. And queen f6, a good move. Arjun has somehow managed to, by making accurate moves, save that position, which was utterly lost. But it's not so simple yet, because the knight is strong, the queen is good. Queen c7, a very good move. And queen f4 check. Okay, you have to go king h1, but he goes king h3. That's a mistake, because there is a beautiful move that black has, which is to play g5. Now it's super difficult to find that move, because look at this point. g5 threatens g4. If you take here, I give check, check, and pick up the pawns with the check. First he gives queen e3, check. So Arjun comes back, king h2. And now again check, because you're closing in on move 40 and he has 2 minutes to make 2 more moves. King h3. And now, by the way, Arjun had to go king h1. Now g5, but 38th move. Can you find it in just 2 minutes? This is a crunch moment for Andy Woodward. If he finds g5, Arjun Erigaisi is in massive trouble. Like he would be lost. And he thinks and boom, finds it with 1 minute 57 seconds on the clock. Arjun has to take. Imagine Arjun gives like queen a7, queen h4 is a mate. So hg, check, king g3, and now you take this even with a check. 40 moves done. Arjun gets up. He knows that he's in big trouble. And if he loses this, he would be out of the tiebreak as well if Magnus manages to beat Yaz. So queen f4 check. Maybe just repeating here to reach move 40. And now Andy gets his 30 extra minutes, which are so crucial. He gives the check again after 7 minutes of thought. Arjun comes back. He has no other move but to go king g3. I mean, king g4 is also possible, but king g3. And now queen takes on g6 check. He goes king h2 because if king f2 there was queen f7 and you trade and black is winning with an extra pawn. So here goes king h2 check. King g1. Ooh, but there's a tactic now. Queen c1 check. Queen c1. Queen takes and knight e2. Maybe Arjun should have gone king g3 and forced Andy. But there's queen g7 there to trade. So the queen was getting traded. Finds it. What a beautiful move. Arjun takes. And the endgame is just working for black because you can see there's a passer here, but the king is just in time to stop it. So even though the knight is far away, knight takes c1 now. The d pawn is not queening. You can bring your king in. So king e3. He goes king f7. And the problem for white is that, while their own passed pawn can be easily blocked, the black passers can start rolling. So knight b3 check. King c3. And now park the knight to d4. Yes, knight to d4. So king b4 played. The king could come here. So king e7 makes sense. Arjun playing fast and confidently, showing Andy that he's under control. But not so sure. King moves to a5. Arjun is hoping that he can pick up this pawn, and his bishop can handle everything here. h5, a good move. And now king to a6. And for Andy, it's very important to play king d6. But he goes h4 and that is a big error. And Arjun now takes on a7. The game is drawn magically. I have to explain to you how this is drawn. But we will do it after the game because it's a very, very insane endgame point. But for now, it's a shock to Andy Woodward that he's not winning because he has many winning tries. He has knight e2, knight g1 with the idea of h3, h2. He has knight e2, knight f4. I mean, if you can get the bishop for this one pawn, this is a winning endgame. So you should be winning, but white wants to come king b6, king c7 and start pushing the pawn. So king d6 played. And now king comes up to b6. A knight to c2. You have king to b5 and knight e3. And bishop f3 played. h3, h2. He comes with his king. And this is the problem in the position. The white king is coming back on time. Knight c2. I wonder what he's trying. Like maybe some knight d4. King c3. Where's the knight going? To e1, to d4. He goes knight d4, bishop h1, and now knight e2 check, knight g3 will win the bishop. But the problem is that the knight gets trapped. Look at this. Here, knight g3, bishop f3, h2, king e3, h1. And if you take here, you're even going to lose this game. The knight is trapped. So knight e2 check, king d2. And Andy Woodward has to agree to a draw. He plays knight d4, agrees a draw. And Arjun is so happy here because he gets the tie breaks with Magnus, who won his game against Yaz, and Arjun was in big trouble. And Andy had a smile on his face. He knew that he was winning, he was better, and he could have won. And he's looking in the distance to check where he could be winning. And he played so well this game. The entire game was played incredibly well by the youngster, but he couldn't manage to convert it. And that's what top level chess is so difficult, because you beat your opponent almost 90% in the game, and that 10% is where things go wrong. Let's, as the players arrange their pieces, let's look at the key moment in the game where things turned around and Andy lost his winning chance, because it was a thoroughly instructive moment. Let's have a look at the critical moment. This was the one. Here, Andy Woodward had to play the move king to d6. Actually, he played the move h4, and this led to a draw. Let's understand what is the difference between these two moves, which is very subtle actually. So after h4, white takes, and the main point is that black tries to queen the pawn, but it takes time, because first you need to engineer the move h3. So let's imagine king d6 was played, and also you have to be aware of this trick and then this pawn queen. So if you go with your knight away, it won't help. So first you stop white's trick. Now Arjun's king comes back. Knight c2 was played. You could also do knight e2. It doesn't matter because it's the same concept. The white king simply comes back. Bishop f3, h3, king c4, h2, and king c3. And now after knight h2, just like in the game, you are not in time because of takes, and king f3 trapping the knight. So it was just one move that makes the entire difference in this entire variation. It's just this one move. So in the game, you saw knight c2 and the same thing happened. The king was in time and the players agreed to a draw here. Now let's go back and see this position where after king a6, the move king d6 is played. Now after king a7 comes a very beautiful move, king c5. You are dominating the king from coming back. You know, the king was coming back this route. So now let's say the white king goes here. Then you have to find another very accurate move, knight b5. Imagine that you make a waiting move, let's say bishop f3, h4 and bishop g2. Now you go back with the king once again. Essentially, you've gained a tempo in this entire thing. King a5, knight e2, knight d1. Again, you have to be very accurate. Knight e2 doesn't work. King b4, knight f2, king c3, and now h3, h2. And you will see that the king is not reaching f3 in time, and the knight comes out and it's winning. So king d6 is a very, very beautiful move, and king c5 another. Even if the king tries to come from here, it's not in time because of now knight e2. Now it takes a lot of time. Knight g1, another nice move. King b3, h3, bishop h1, h2, king here, knight h3, king e2, king d2, knight f2, king e2, and knight takes h1 is winning. So here you go bishop f3. And again, by this one tempo, if the king was here, it was fine. And now the knight comes out and it is winning for black. So Andy Woodward had to find this move, king d6, king c5, which was perhaps too tough to figure it out over the board. But this is the beauty of endgames in chess.